In this tutorial, you'll learn how to be able to detect player inputs through your keyboard or your controller using Unity's input system. I'm actually making this video for a friend of mine who's new to Unity and wants to learn how to make games, so I decided to just make this tutorial public, I guess, so here we go. I do go a bit slow in this tutorial just because I've also seen people online so struggle on how to use Unity's new input system, so I'll also have timestamps in the description below so you guys will know exactly where to go and skip throughout. So without further ado, let's begin. For this tutorial, I'll be using Unity version 6. The specific version of Unity 6 does not matter so long as it already features Unity's built-in input system. You'll know that it's already here, built into Unity, when you go down here to the Projects tab, and then you go into the Assets window right over here. It'll show this icon that says Input System with a little lightning bolt. If it's not here, you can go ahead and try and right-click, go to Create, and then go all the way down to where it says Input Actions, and then it'll just ask you to add one and to name it. Now for this tutorial, we'll only need three things. We'll need a script with our code on it that will be able to read the inputs as well as be able to do any action we want. We'll need an object which has the code attached to it, and we'll need to add things to this input system right over here. So first thing we'll do is we'll go to the input system. So let's go ahead and double click that. And if you're opening this for the first time, you might get a whole list of controls over here and a list of maybe two things that says player and UI. So you can decide to keep that if you want. For this tutorial, I just decided to delete everything and start from scratch. I think it's simpler that way. Now, first off, I do want to mention there is a button that says autosave and save asset. I like to use autosave, that way it doesn't ask me every single time when I make changes to this. It just makes things easier. Now, we'll go ahead and add an action map. So let's go ahead and click the plus button. And this action map is, think of it like categories. This category consists of a list of different inputs, which will all do these type of actions. So let's go ahead and name this action map activate. It doesn't matter what you name it, but it's important that we know what these are named. So action map is activated, and now we have actions right over here. If you click on it, it becomes a drop down menu and it says no binding. Now for new action, you can go ahead and rename it whatever you want. For the sake of this, let's just say you're trying to create a attack or a jump button. Let's just say attack. So I'm going to call it attack because let's say the button I want next for us to use for this tutorial is going to attack. Now, before we do anything else, make sure that the action type says button right over here, just for the sake of this tutorial. Now time for binding. So for binding, we're going to go ahead and click on that, and that is where we're going to add our specific key or our input button. Now, this means that if I want the player to be able to attack, he has to press the spacebar button or he has to press the E button. For this case, I'm just going to make it the E key on the keyboard. So go ahead, right over here, we're going to go to path. It should have nothing on this drop down menu. Go ahead and click that and we'll have a huge menu full of different input categories with different inputs already presetted. But the easiest way to do this is to just press E on your keyboard and then it'll come up right over here as keyboard. You can also press listen and it'll listen for the key that you add. If you don't press E on the search bar and nothing pops up, then you can press the listen button and then press the E button. So I'm gonna go ahead and click E, and because it's on my keyboard that I'm using, we're gonna go ahead and click that. And clearly that didn't work. Let's try that again. There we go. I'm not too sure what just happened. What the heck? So now it should say the path is E. Now you can go ahead and save that or click on autosave. And we're only going to be using E for the sake of this tutorial, just to keep things simple. Of course, you can add more actions the more down the line you go with your game, but let's just stick with E for now. So let's go ahead and close this. And now we need to be able to add an object which will be able to read our player inputs. So it doesn't matter what object you activate it, or sorry, it doesn't matter what object you attach it to. You can go ahead and right click, and then let's just add it to an empty. An empty is just an object with 0 vertices or 0 polygons, if that's more simple. You can add it to anything such as a cube, doesn't really matter, but let's just go ahead and click an empty for now. And then let's just name this information. It doesn't matter what we call it because we're not going to be referring to the name of this object. But on this empty, you can go ahead and click add component, and then we're going to type in player input, not input manager. We're going to type in player input for this tutorial. So this right over here is going to detect whenever we press on our keyboard, it is going to activate whatever actions. Go ahead and go right over here to where it says behavior. we're gonna click on send messages, and then we're gonna go to invoke Unity events because our actions are considered events in Unity. So we're gonna go ahead and click that, and then we'll be able to get a drop down tab right over here that says events. Go ahead and click on that, and then we'll be able to, this is not right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and click on actions up here. If it says missing, then you can go ahead and click the menu or this icon right over here, and we're gonna go ahead and select our input system. Okay, now, sorry, that was important. I should have said that earlier because we have to reference this input system right over here. The reason why is because you can actually reference multiple different input systems. Now, whenever you open the events tab right here, you should be able to see activate. Now, if you go back to the input system window, that was the name of our action map. Let's go back to it again, event and activate. Now, when we press on activate, we'll be able to reference attack, which is the name of our event. Callback context is also a important word that we're going to be using because however they refer to the inputs, they're called contexts, and they're calling back to that. So just think of context as the action itself. But in order to be able to reference or to be able to do anything, we need to be able to have a script that allows us to do an action whenever we press that input. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead, go into the hierarchy again. I'm going to right click and add a 3D object, and I'm just going to add a cube. You don't have to copy me. You can add this to your player character, your 3D model, your enemy, whatever you choose to add this to. But for the sake of this tutorial, let's just pretend that this cube right over here is our player. I'm going to name it player. It doesn't actually matter what you call it, but I'm going to name it the player. So let's pretend that this is our player. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on add component because what I want to do is if I want my player to attack, the code with the action that attacks is going to be attached to this. Now let's go ahead and click add component because we're going to add our script with our action to our player cube. We're going to go ahead and, oh, it's actually right over here. But if you don't have it on your screen, you're going to go ahead and type in new script. Now you can call this whatever you want. Let's just say attack script. You can just call it attack if it makes it easier for you. Now, we need to be able to open this. If you don't have Visual Studio, be sure to have that installed. In order to open our script now, there are two ways we can do this. We can go to our player where we added the script, go to this icon that has 3 dots on it, click on that, and then click on edit script, and it'll be able to open it. Or you can go ahead to wherever you had the script saved. If you have it under a folder with all your codes, you can go ahead and double click on that. It's just saved to my asset folder right here, so I'm just going to click it from here. And then it'll open Visual Studio. Now, sorry, you should only be able to have one tab. I have all these other tabs because I was working on another project right before recording this. But just go ahead and ignore this. The name of your script should be right over here on this tab. Now, this next part is important. For the sake of this tutorial, we are not going to be using any of this right over here. We're not going to be using void start, and we're not going to be using void update. Now, in order for our script to be able to detect that it is going to be trying to read the input system from Unity, we're going to go ahead and up here where it says Unity Engine or using Unity Engine, we're just going to go ahead and go to the next line, and now we're going to type in using Unity Engine dot input system. And we're going to go ahead with a semicolon. If you're new to coding, just know that a semicolon is important because it ends that line of code. If I were to delete it, it is going to treat this line of code as it is not finished. It is not finished, so it's going to try and read the next line of code as all the same line. So go ahead and put a semicolon because we're just going to end it right there. Otherwise, you're going to get an error in your console. Now, we're just going to ignore all of this. Let's just make some room on the bottom. And we're going to add in our own method. So how do you add a method? You type in void, or you can type in public or private void. It doesn't really matter. Most beginners like to just stick with public void or just void. So let's just do with public void. Public void, and now you're going to name your method. The name of the method does not actually matter. Let's just call it player attack. Right over here. So we're going to be able to refer to this method, and then whatever function we give it on the bottom, whenever we refer to this method, it's going to do that action. But we need this is going to be a special type of method, because if you don't remember, right over here, if we go back to Unity and we go to our wherever we had the player input, which is the information empty, if we go back to events and activate, it says callback context. So we need to be, that's what we're going to be using to refer or to be calling back to our action. So if we go back and open Visual Studio, we're gonna do open and close parentheses, and we're gonna type in input action because that is what we're using. And now we need to reference it. We reference that by callback context. That's what it said earlier in the previous window. And now we're going to name the reference, which is going to be our context. So we're just going to type in, quite literally, context. You can also type in CTX if you want to make things shorter. CTX is just context, but for short. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to type in the full word context. Now, we're going to go ahead and make a new bracket underneath. And now this is how we're going to refer to the context. In this new line, we're going to type in if the context, sorry, I can't type, if the context was started. Now, started quite literally means if the context was started. So if we had pressed the button E on our keyboard, that is going to start the context right over here. It's going to refer back to that. So whatever we type in right after if context started, that is going to be our action whenever we press the E on our keyboard, or whatever button you decided to use in the input system menu. So if context was started, for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to make it say a message in the console, but you can make it have any action you want. I'm just going to type in debug.log and open and close parentheses, attacking message. And then, of course, go ahead and end that with a semicolon to end that line. Now, we can go ahead and press Control Save to save all of our progress, and we can head back to Unity. And before we do that, I would like to mention that you can later on in the future add more things that'll be able to further enhance if the game detects certain types of inputs, if it's gonna cancel it, if it's holding it. For example, there is more than just started. You can also use things such as canceled or performed, and they also do different things. Be sure to refer to the Unity documentation to learn more about what these things do. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're just gonna leave it as if context started. Now, if you click on Unity, it should reload the domain, blah, 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 and save everything. Perfect. Now let's go back to our information right over here and then click on events, activate again. Now we need to be able to refer to the object that has our code or our script on it that does the action. So go ahead and press the plus icon right over here. Now, you're going to go ahead and make sure it says runtime only. If it says off, be sure to click it and make sure it says runtime only. Now we're going to go reference the object, which would be our player right over here. You can use the drop down menu, or you can go ahead and go to our hierarchy and drag whatever object that had that code on into there. Now, if you go to no function, we should be able to have this drop down menu, but then we'll have another thing right over here that says attack script. That is the name of our script, as you can see right over here in this window. So go to attack script, and if you did everything correctly, we'll be able to have a thing that says player attack, which was the name of our method. So go ahead and click player attack, and now that that is activated, let's go ahead and test this. So let's press the play button right over here, and if we're able to press the E key, it now says in our console that attacking message. Now that's practically the end of the tutorial, but there are a few things I would like to state if you wanted to stay around, and that is that if we go back to input system, there's also other things that we can do that are more advanced. We could go ahead and press the plus button, and what we did originally was add binding, which detected this one key. However, there are also more things, which is add binding with one modifier or two modifiers. That's cool because it allows us to be able to add key combinations. So that concludes the end of this tutorial. I hope that was pretty straightforward. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. It was a little bit scuffed. I haven't really done tutorials in so long. I've been busy with a lot of things in life, but if you liked what you saw, be sure to leave a like so that more people can find this tutorial. It'll appear on their recommendations, and if you're interested, be sure to subscribe. I mostly make Blender material related videos, but I happen to dabble into Unity tutorials. This happens to be like my 4th or my 5th one. I'm not entirely too sure, but I tend to make Unity tutorials every once in a while. Everything is beginner to intermediate related tutorials, so you can go ahead and stick around if you're interested in that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.